Hi everyone, I'm Sarah. I'm one of the neuro-oncology CNS team at King's, and I am here today with one of our patients, Martin, and I'm going to hand the floor over to him just to introduce himself and tell us a bit about yourself, Martin.
Hello everyone. Hi Sarah, thanks for asking me on, and I'm really happy to be making a contribution to Brain Cancer Awareness Month. So yeah, my name's Martin. I'm a lecturer, I'm in the performing arts. I'm a busy guy and was busier before I got last November a diagnosis, a rather out of the blue diagnosis of brain cancer. And how it happened was just by fluke, it seems. I was staying down in a friend's place. I went out to the pub and I came home and I hit my head on a beam, and I didn't think anything of it other than I've had a pint too many. And I came back to London only to find out a couple of people said, "You are a little bit odd." In fact, more people were saying that than usual. "You ought to get to A&E." So eventually I went to A&E, and I found out that it wasn't a case of having a couple of pints too many. It was actually a case of having a growth on my brain, unfortunately. And that meant that I very rapidly had a diagnosis of a brain tumour. I very rapidly had surgery, and shortly after that was tipped into a program of radio and chemo, which I'm sure many of you listening will be in one way or another engaging with yourselves. So yeah, it's just been a completely extraordinary few months. And I was just actually saying to Sarah that one of the nice things about the experience has been meeting other people who've been through this shock of having a rapid diagnosis. I was sitting up in guys and swapping notes and going, what? What on earth has been going on in our lives that's tipped us up here? So it's been incredibly rapid and a lot of a shock in more ways than one. One way I've dealt with it is simply because I'm working in the creative arts. I write. I'm just a fairly chatty, opinionated sort of person. I don't shut up easily. I started writing, and rather than sort of try and publish it somewhere, I've decided that, you know, podcasting is the way. So I produced a podcast, which I think Sarah will provide the link to.
Absolutely.
Just trying to reflect on this experience and coming to terms, as I'm sure lots of you are, with just the everydayness of the diagnosis, and in my case, just trying to cope with a bit of a site neglect, but some of the things around that and work and stuff are obviously significant. But yeah, just trying to cope with the adjustment, I think, in terms of cancer prognosis and the words, the language that are used in terms of probabilities of life expectancy, all these rather scary things about grade 1, 2, 3, 4 cancer, which are just kind of very hard to take on board. Yeah, so the podcast is kind of me fishing my way through that. It's a bit cheeky, it's a bit rude.
We loved it.
Okay. But yeah, the team sort of loved it, and I've kind of shared it quite a lot. So if you do want to have a listen, that's totally fine. And yeah, I'm really up for those conversations. So should you listen and like it, please share it. And I do think for me, conversation is really, really, really important. It's sometimes not everybody who isn't in my shoes or your shoes particularly is going to get what's going on. So the opportunity to share with people who do understand is so important. And obviously there's great support from the team and fantastic care as far as I'm concerned. But at the edges of this, how we deal with it and kind of get back in the saddle, as it were, just think, right, okay, so this is the deal, but what's the best that I can do right now? I'm kind of quite interested in that, and I do think that the people who are in this position are probably some of the best people to say this is how we do things. So I'm genuinely interested in the groups that the team are setting up. I'm really interested
Yeah.
in YouTube videos as well, and I'll probably stop talking there for a minute.
No, it's good. It's good. I think, you know, one of the main things that I know a lot is that a lot of our care in those early days as a team is sort of not really anticipatory care, or this will happen, then this will happen, and then we'll, you know, it's almost like we spend a good few weeks getting to know you very quickly and catching up with everything that's happened and then processing everything that's happened. And I think, you know, it's then really interesting to think of how that equilibrium then changes as you go on throughout the treatment. And I think probably that's been the case for you, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think it does make me laugh a little bit, really, because I think when close family friends first hear something like this, they're kind of worried that you're going to keel over just immediately, and everything is kind of calibrated around
Completely.
that. Or they have to see you tomorrow because they might not see you. There's all this kind of urgency and slightly over dramatized reaction to things,
Yeah.
that you kind of weed your way through, really. And things do change. I think that's a really important thing. I mean, obviously everyone's diagnosis is different. You know, some people might have a kind of more severe symptoms or whatever, but I think just the allowing for people to feel totally shocked, yes, and maybe not be able to do certain things, but then work out what they can do. I think that's a really interesting and important change for people to go through and feel empowered through that. I really do. Yeah.
Yeah, completely. And another interesting question that I think would be good to get an idea of from you is, what would you say to somebody who is just at the very, very early stages of a diagnosis like this?
Wow.
I've thrown that one on you, haven't I?
Yeah, it's okay. I say breathe and take time. I really would say breathe and take time, and be very gentle with yourself, and don't worry if you feel totally shocked, and that people around you are shocked too. It's an enormous amount to deal with, both for yourself, but also for the people around you. And it took me a while to work out how big that was. And yes, it will look differently for everybody, but there's stress involved with taking on board so much information, you know, the diagnosis, information about the cancer, the treatment, telling your friends, family, and loved ones. I mean, it's just huge. So I would really, 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 really say, you know, be very gentle with yourself, and take your time. And if you can't do it, boom, it can wait.
Yeah.
You know, just take your time. And if it doesn't happen today, it can happen tomorrow, because what you're going through is so big, and you can get through it. You will get through it, but slowly. It's my trick to everything. I take much more time with things now than I ever did before. That works for me. That works.
Slow down.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, my learning from you certainly is, you know, really to sort of prioritize the things you love, you know, and I think that was, you know, from the get-go, that's been really important to you, I'd say.
Yeah. To see friends and carry on and try to get down the pub when you can.
Yeah. Bit of social time.
Yeah, to do those things that you like, and to listen. I would say that I didn't always listen because I'm a guy. No, that's a cliche. I'm not going down that gendered route. But there were times when I chose not to listen and said, right, I can do this bit on my own. And actually, that wasn't the case. I did need people with me. And fortunately, those people stuck around and showed up. But yeah, listening is, yeah, for me anyway, it was quite important just to listen a bit more.
Yeah. This has been great. Thank you so much.
Okay.
What I'll do is I'll pop the link to Martin's podcast in the title section of this video. So I know, Martin, you're very keen just for people to get in touch if they loved it. And
Sure. Yeah. Please do. I think there's an enormous strength that I've got from listening to people. So if you do want to have a chat sometime, then please just contact the team, and I'm more than happy to do that. Or if you've got some ideas around kind of conversations that I should maybe consider having, then equally I'm really interested in that too. But yeah, I do wish you well in your treatment and your journey. So yeah, I hope to meet you as well at one of these groups. I think that's a really good idea, Sarah.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have to start thinking about doing things face to face again now that I mean, we're still riding that wave, aren't we? The COVID wave, but
Mm,
the waves are starting to settle a little bit more than they were before. So that's good.
sure. I think in person would be fantastic given everything. Yeah.
Mm.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Martin.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Talk to
you.
you soon. Thank you.
All right. Bye.